Financial Modeling, Topic 5, Section 4, For Loops and Aggregation Programs. Loop structures, or segments of code, are used to execute lines of code repeatedly. There are many kinds of looping structures. There are do-while statements, do-loop-while statements, do-until, do-loop-until. However, for most of the programs in this course where I need loops, I'm going to use something called a for loop. Now, you use a for loop and you know exactly how many times you need to execute some lines of code. So let's do an example. I'm going to go to the start file, and I want to show you an example of doing a simple calculation in Excel first. Say you have 5 payments of $100, discounted at 10%, and you want to discount them by taking $100 over 1 plus r to the first power, second power, third power, fourth power, and fifth power, and then sum up the present value of 5 payments of $100 received at the end of the year. In other words, the first payment happens in 1 year. That payment of $100 is worth 90. This payment is received at the end of 5 years or 5 years from today. And if I sum up those 5 numbers, I say the present value of a $100 annuity discounted at 10% for 5 years is $379. Now, I could have also used the PV function where I entered the discount rate of 10%, the number of periods of 5, and the payment of $100. But let's build a homemade user-defined function that does the same thing, just to learn about how to use loops in VBA. So here's the program that I wrote. I got largely from the textbook to do this calculation. So the function is called p-value. Okay, it has 3 parameters: payment, that's going to be my $100 in the example I had there, and that's going to be my 5 I'm going to input, and r is going to be my 10%. And here's how I'm going to do this in VBA. I'm going to set up a loop. I'm going to say for I equal 1 to n, where n is 5 in this situation. And then I'm going to do some line of code, and then I'm going to say next I. So here's how a loop is going to work. You're going to have a for I equal 1 to n next I, and what it's going to do, it's going to keep executing the lines in between the for and the next statement as long as this condition is met. So it's going to set I equal to 1, and it's going to execute this line of code. P-value equals p-value plus payment over 1 plus r to the I. Now, p-value is the name of the program. So that's where it's going to get its value. So p-value initially is going to start off with a value of 0. So what this first statement says, p-value equals p-value, which is 0, plus 100 over 1 plus r to the first. So p-value is going to take the value of a 0 plus 90.91. Now we're going to get to the next statement. Once it gets to the next I, it's going to kick it back up to the for loop. It's then going to set I equal to 2, right? Because I is going to go to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So now the I is equal to 2. P-value equals p-value plus. Now p-value at this point has $90.91 in it. It's going to add $100 over 1 plus r to the 2 power. So it's going to add $82 to it. So that's about $172 is now inside p-value. Next I, it's going to set I equal to 3. P-value equals about $172 plus 100 over 1 plus r to the third. It's going to add $73. So now p-value has the sum of these 3 numbers. Next I, it's going to then take that sum and add $100 over 1 plus r to the 4th, next I to the 5th, and by the time this loop has run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, that means this statement here is executed 5 times, setting I equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5. At the end of the 5th loop, p-value now has the sum of these 5 numbers, which is equal to 379. So we'll go ahead and insert that function. I have it written in my module, and I'm going to do an insert function. User defined. I'm going to look for p-value. I'm going to put in my payment of 100, N of 5, R of 10%, and there's my 379. And if you wanted to calculate the present value of a 100-year annuity, it's 999.93. So in other words, in that quick time of when I hit enter there and got that 999, that loop was executed 100 times. Now I just want to show you another way to write the program, and the only reason I'm showing you this is in the textbook it'll often write it in this manner. It'll say something like p-value 1, temp equal to 0 for I equal 1 to n, temp equals temp plus next I, then the name of the program equals temp. All right. I generally, when I write code, I try to minimize the lines of code, so I minimize my chances of errors with typos. However, this code seems to make sense also. So what it's doing, it's setting a temporary variable called temp. Temp is not a special name in Excel, it's just some variable name that you made up. And you're going to put 0 inside this variable temp. And then you're going to aggregate these cash flows inside the variable temp. So at the end of the 5 loops, temp is going to have 379 in it. Last step, I've never actually assigned any value to the function name. So the last step is say p-value 1 equals temp, which is 379, and this function will do the exact same thing as this one. This one just does a little detour by putting some values in something called temp and then having the name of the function take on the value of temp. All right, now I just want to point out this is the use of a loop. This is the basic use of a loop. And also this is also going to be the basic way of doing aggregation in finance using VBA. Aggregation meaning when I need a function to add a bunch of numbers together like these, right? I'm going to add these 5 numbers together. The simple trick in VBA is to set up a loop where you have a name equals the same name plus, and what that does, it keeps adding to itself. So let's do a little thought experiment here. What if I took this program and I omitted this part of the program? I just had p-value equals the payment. Now, what's going to happen in this program is when it goes through the loop the first time, it's going to set p-value equal to 90. Then it's going to set I equal to 2. Then it's going to set p-value equal to 82. It's going to replace the 90. So if I actually ran this program without this p-value being repeated, the function will simply return the last value of 62, not the summation of the 5 values. So in this program, we talked about, or in this section, we talked about using for loops and doing simple aggregation programs in finance.